Hello, Voice Global, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share what I think is going to be a fantastic interview with you today. For myself, I'm James Poulter. I'm CEO and co-founder at Vixen Labs and have been part of the Voice Global family for a number of years now. And this time round, we've got one of our own clients here from Vixen, the fantastic Steve Pearce, who is the digital portfolio manager for McDonald's in the UK. And I'm going to be talking to him a little bit about the recent voice experience that they've launched, that we've worked with them on over the past 6 months or so, and just where he sees voice going as a part of the overall digital ecosystem for both McDonald's and the broader market here in the UK. So Steve, welcome, and thanks so much for being here. Why don't you just tell us in your own words a little bit about what it is that you do and your role at McDonald's?
Sure, and thanks for the opportunity, JP. So Steve Pearce, nice to meet you all. I'm the digital portfolio manager at McDonald's, so I look after a suite of digital products, main one being the app in UK and Ireland, but also look after offers, loyalty, and payments as products.
Fantastic. And so, Steve, in your role at McDonald's, obviously, you look at the mobile experience, and voice has become kind of part of that portfolio, as you mentioned. But where did this start? How did McDonald's start looking at voice when it comes to the UK and ultimately end up launching an Alexa skill? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, sure. So I think looking at voice in the market has kind of been a key thing for me, and I always try and keep quite close to technology and trends. And I don't think anyone could ignore how much voice has grown over the last few years, especially. And we know I think 80% of people use a voice assistant, whether it's on their smart phone or at home. So it was something that we had to look into and be part of that emerging trend. So it's really exciting for us to be able to kind of dig into voice of what it can do for us today, but then trying to build a roadmap for the future as well.
Well, just thinking a little bit about that roadmap, as we see, voice is definitely maturing. I think I would say over the past 12 months, we've seen it kind of coming out of the innovation space and being much more embedded into different lines of business. And we're seeing a lot of businesses looking at it in terms of conversational marketing and being part of their digital strategy. So for you, where do you see the biggest opportunity for voice in the kind of digital business at McDonald's?
Yeah, and I think right now, I think we have to look at how our consumers engage with voice. And I think it's fair to say at the moment, we see it as like an engagement platform for us. So looking at kind of our website, a very similar kind of model. So it's how someone would maybe come in to kind of greet the brand of McDonald's, and then how we can then hand off to our other digital products. Obviously, the nirvana would be to get to digital ordering at some point, but we need to make sure that's seamless and frictionless for our customers. But right now, our focus is how do we get people engaging with the skill and then hand over to our kind of more established digital products, because McDonald's is really convenient to order from. We've got our mobile app, as I've already mentioned, that I look after. And I think voice has a way to kind of integrate nicely with apps in the future.
Yeah, just for maybe context for those watching outside of the UK, just tell us a little bit about what the digital ordering experience on mobile is like right now at McDonald's, because it's different around the world.
Yeah, sure. So there's a few markets that have the app that we have here in McDonald's. So we branded it as the My McDonald's app. So this gives you the ability to place an end-to-end order, whether it's at the restaurant or something that we've recently launched is what we're calling integrated delivery. So this gives you the ability to have your order delivered by Uber Eats. And essentially it's you've all visited McDonald's, you've seen those big kiosks that you can go and order yourself, and it's having one of them in your pocket. So you create your account, you're then able to browse our full menu, add any item you want, and then choose how you want to collect, whether that's delivery, drive-through, in-store, or one of our new features, which is click and serve. So have it brought out to your car parking bay, which is a really VIP experience.
And obviously, in the wake of the pandemic, a lot of that has changed. I think certainly a lot of the conversation we've had around where voice might complement the experience has been informed by what's happened with the opening and shutting and reopening and shutting of restaurants here in the country. So I think one, you mentioned before about this being an engagement opportunity. So as you think about voice when it comes to mobile and loyalty, which are two of the big parts of what your portfolio includes, where do you see voice connecting into these other digital channels to help support the business?
So I think, it's a really good question. Something that I'd kind of call upon the kind of voice providers, Google, Amazon, to do is try and create a closer connection, handing and integrating with other digital products. I think I briefly mentioned it before. I'd love a world where voice can kind of start the journey, hand off to another experience, maybe via mobile or web, and then come back to voice at the end. So, I'll talk through the experience of, imagine you're at home Friday night, you want to order your kids dinner, you ask Alexa, I want to order from McDonald's. But actually, as a consumer, you want to browse the menu, you want to have that visual in your hands input, that kiosk in your pocket. So it could then start the order on your app, seamlessly browse the menu, place the order, and then Alexa then takes over and manages the tracking of the order and gives you regular updates of when Uber's going to deliver it. I think that could be really powerful in the future, how voice doesn't just sit by itself as a standalone digital product, but how it kind of crosses all those platforms and creates this kind of unified experience across digital.
Yeah, and I think that seeing these different channels come together is a pattern we're seeing in the market more generally. You mentioned those stats up front, and I think our own research, which we have a new report coming in a couple of weeks' time in partnership with our friends at Google, will show that we're seeing a lot more people using voice across multiple different platforms, whether they're doing that in their mobile, in their car, and obviously on a smart speaker in a more traditional sense, even though it's not been that long for it to be a tradition. And I think you mentioned that kind of the drive-through experience as well. So one of the effects that we've seen of the pandemic has been the impact that it's had on people wanting to drive through and use takeaway business, obviously far more, as they've been unable to spend time in stores. What do you see as the opportunity for voice when it comes to places like on the move, in the car, and obviously in the drive-through in the future? Because it's a large and growing part of the McDonald's business, both here and internationally.
Yeah, and it's such an important part of our business, as you'll know, and I'm sure everyone watching will know. McDonald's kind of is the leader on drive-through. Our drive-throughs are hugely busy, and during the pandemic, and as we reopened, we were all seeing kind of those queues that were published on like BBC News, etc. And that's something that we need to continue driving as a business. And during that reopening period, I think it was last May, June time, I actually went to work in one of my local restaurants, which is a bit of an eye-opener, because it's been a long time since I've been kind of on the ground in the field like that. And we looked at opportunities to try and make that experience better. And something that did come to mind was how we can use the mobile app. So having customers or passengers in the car pre-ordering on the mobile app and also paying meant that they could almost skip the order point and the cashier window, meaning we could just focus on delivery of their food. So that really kind of sped up the drive-through experience, and then kind of translate that into voice and how powerful that can be. Like, if you've got Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant in cars, then so I've set yours off.
Answer for that.
That happens. It's in the home, but like you say, it's in the car. It's in my car. Yeah, bringing that into the drive-through. Tell us a little bit where you see that going.
Yeah, so like I said, if you have a Google Assistant and all those other type of voice products in your car, then it's like having one of those drive-through ordering posts in your car that you can then have your family talk their order to ahead of arriving at McDonald's. So you could be on a motorway heading to a McDonald's service station, or you could be just out on a day trip. But importantly, all the family members are interacting with voice, building their order, so that the point that you arrive at the restaurant, you can then seamlessly glide through the drive-through, and you're just almost skipping the order point and the payment window and going to your collection window, or even skip the drive-through altogether. And I mentioned click and serve previously. That kind of new product for us as a collection point is so important.
Yeah,
that family could just pull into one of those bays and have their order brought out to them.
Yeah, I think the magic of being able to order, I've often talked to people, when we've used McDonald's as the example for many years, of I see a future where you'll be driving along a motorway, you'll see an advert hoarding over the motorway that says, order your Big Mac now, pick it up at the corner, and you'll soon be able to do that. And I think that that's a phenomenal potential future of where this goes. But before we move to talk about the future, we should probably just focus a little bit on what we've just launched in the UK, which is the Alexa experience. So maybe do you want to just talk a little bit about what's in there and what that's been like to create something like that? Maybe some of the stuff you've learned as we've gone through that process together.
Yeah, and it's been as I said before, McDonald's is kind of hugely convenient, and the pandemic has clearly changed the direction on a lot of digital products in the field, not just McDonald's. And we looked at it from the beginning of like, what do our customers want right now? And I've talked about the nirvana of having voice ordering in the future, and clearly that's where we want to get. But right now, I always use my wife as a good grounding point with technology, and I look at how did she use our kind of Alexa at home, and it was, setting a timer for her boiled eggs, or checking the weather, or playing music. And I thought, well, how do we kind of just build on those kind of simple engagement experiences to then support what McDonald's do? And that's where we kind of landed with, well, maybe it's, how do I find, what's my local McDonald's? What are the opening hours? Because during COVID, they've been changing all the time. So having the ability to get up to date opening hours has been key. And simple questions like, what time does breakfast finish? Everyone asks that question, and now our skill will tell you exactly what menu is being served within McDonald's. And then something we're about to kind of update it within the skill is the ability to tell us what McDonald's Monday offer is available for the week coming. So I think
maybe just explain what the McDonald's Monday offer is, because that's not a thing that's necessarily all around the world.
Yeah, so McDonald's Monday is basically an offer that we publish within our app every Monday. So this Monday there's Big Mac and fries for $1.99. Next Monday might be a 99p Big Mac. So every single Monday there's a different offer that's available within the My McDonald's app. And using voice to pre-promote that is really quite powerful for us. So we're planning to kind of leak it through voice on the Saturday. Obviously, we'll be looking to do our normal media channels through social, etc., over the weekend. But it will give kind of a habitual usage of the voice skill, where a family or whoever can check what is the McDonald's offer coming up on that Monday. Because normally within the app, you won't find out until the day unless you've seen any of our pre-promote advertising.
And it's also been linked into some of the other marketing channels as well. There's a big email blasts have gone out and other things, and we're beginning to see it channel in. So you guys are beginning to actually look at how this isn't just a standalone channel. It does integrate with everything else that's happening across the business. It's really exciting. Steve, as we kind of wrap up here, maybe let's just take a final question of looking at the future. We're in a kind of half post-pandemic, half jabbed reality at the minute, and we're seeing a big opportunity for quick service restaurants to really take an opportunity, take advantage of the voice ecosystem. Just maybe what's 2 or 3 things that you're thinking about as we look beyond the kind of this COVID time where everything's been so up and down, to where you see voice going down the line, and maybe what some of the things are on your mind as we plan for 2022 and beyond.
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned numerous times throughout this interview, the nirvana for me is to get to that voice ordering experience. I don't think any QSR has nailed it right now, and there has been some of our competitors who kind of dabbled in that area. I think the only brand that does do it well is Amazon, and I guess they need to do it well, right? I love being able to kind of just shout at my device that I need to order some more coffee beans, and they're on my doorstep tomorrow morning. It's so easy. Again, from a McDonald's experience point of view, it's maybe not the same use. Customers like to browse the menu. So it's how do we cross that, platform of voice, which just tells you what's available, versus having a way of browsing as well. But also make the ordering experience not a heavy lift. I think it's fair to say right now, it's quite a lot of work to build upon an ordering experience. I look at the McDonald's ecosystem and the amount of platforms that we would need to integrate to make it work. And I've seen some of our competitors and how you have to set a favorite order, set your default payment, set your delivery address online, not even in voice, and then you can finally say, I want to order my favorite item. I think really to get where our customers want is that kind of conversational ordering, like you can do with Alexa. You can just say what you want, and it's then going to be delivered. And that's where I'd love to see this go. Is who, I'd want McDonald's to be the first brand that does it right. But as I said before, we're already known for being super convenient and good at what we do. So, we're going to make sure that if we do launch voice ordering, we do it correctly and right, and it kind of resonates with our consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as we see across the ecosystem right now, there's more and more strides being made with things like Alexa conversations, with the new Lambda functions from Google, and many other features connecting up to mobile and things like that that are beginning to edge us in that direction. So we're excited to see where this goes. And thanks for your partnering on getting this far with the skills. If people want to try it, and if you're in the UK, you will need a UK device. You can just go and say, Alexa, open McDonald's, and you'll be right in there and can go give it a try. For now, though, thanks, Steve, so much for taking the time to join us for Voice Global this year. And we hope that the skill goes from strength to strength as the project grows and continues. But for now, Steve Pearce, who's Digital Portfolio Manager for McDonald's in the UK, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. Cheers.